Welcome to the World Away.
Travel tales to inspire your wanderlust.
Hi there, welcome to our winter series. This week we're taking you to the skies with Toby Venus of Point Hacks podcast to demystify frequent flyer points. And you'll also hear the heartfelt story of Silva McLeod, the first Tongan woman to become an airline pilot. First up, we'll hear from Toby as he shares some sneaky hacks, and we're talking gift cards, credit cards, hotel loyalty programs, and the difference between reward seats and the perils of the Points Plus pay scheme. Take a listen.
Toby, welcome to the World Awaits. It's so exciting to have you here. And here, I actually mean Melbourne Airport, which is where we are at the moment.
Yeah, it's quite a beautiful little room we've got here.
Yeah, absolutely. We are in the Novotel. For those who aren't looking at the video at the moment, we are in a suite in the Novotel. We're up on the 8th floor and we are looking out over Melbourne Airport. And at nearly... at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's pretty busy out there. It's got cars pouring in. I actually had a clear run because sometimes you get lucky. The airport guards were smiling at me this morning. And stay tuned because we've actually got some details about a giveaway at the hotel. So if you are traveling anytime soon, this is the perfect place to come the night before, drop your bags, have dinner, have a glass of wine, and then you can wander over to the airport, saunter across, rather than my usual modus operandi, which is to run screeching like a mad woman at the final boarding calls.
Yes. I actually stayed here before flying out to the US just when it first opened, and I can confirm the restaurant downstairs, I think it's Italian, fantastic. I would highly recommend coming here if you can.
It's an absolutely beautiful hotel. And because you've got the Novotel and the Ibis Style sitting side by side, so you've got 2 price points there as well. So we're going to give you some details on how you can win a night here. And you know what? You could even just come and stay, even if you're not flying anywhere at the moment.
Yeah, if you love planes, I'm watching a Qantas plane land right now. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
God, love it. We are total Av geeks, so buckle up everybody because this is like Av Geek Central. We're talking today, Toby and I are talking about earning and burning points and how to keep, we're also going to do a little hygiene checklist about how to keep your points in good shape and working for you. And let me tell you, I am not a professional in this area, so I am all ears. I can earn for Australia, cannot burn them. So let's jump in. Toby.
Yes. Okay, what should we start with? Let's start with
the earn. Yeah. Okay, great.
When you purchase a product, everything is like the total price of that product. Part of that is the marketing and distribution and everything. So when you're shopping and you're not earning points, you're basically just subsidizing points for everyone who does earn them. So I would say, why not? So let's start with the why not stuff where it takes absolutely no effort. So Woolies and Coles, I'm sure everyone's heard, you can either use Flybuys for Coles or everyday rewards for Woolies. Everyday rewards can be converted to Qantas points and Flybuys can be converted to Velocity.
That is a really good point because you've got Qantas with Woolworths and you've got Virgin and Coles. So they're your absolute base and nothing for Aldi. If you're shopping at Aldi, forget about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though they have some great prices. So, I mean, if you're price sensitive and you don't want points, go to Aldi, I would say. But when you're shopping at Coles or Woolies, you can sign up for their loyalty programs and automatically start earning points on everyday spend. You're really not going out of your way here. All you need to do is sign up to each program or the program that you would prefer and start scanning at the checkout. I calculated, this is very general, but like a family of 4 might spend about $14,000 a year on groceries. So you earn 1 point per dollar spent on everyday rewards. You earn 1 point per dollar spent on Flybuys as well. And then they get transferred to half that when you transfer over to the frequent flyer programs. So you earn 2,000 Qantas points. You earn 2,000 everyday rewards points. They get converted into 1,000 Qantas points. And the same with Velocity from Flybuys. So you spend $14,000 in a year. You've already got 7,000 points just from scanning at the checkout with no extra work.
Right. Okay. So don't go for the specials. I think that's the thing. But the other thing too is that, of course, that those programs knock on. With Woolworths, you've also got BWS, you've got Big W, Whole Caltex, all of those sorts of things. And then on the Virgin side of it, then they've got their own sub programs as well.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So you start with groceries, and then you start seeing the whole world of all of our various duopolies and companies that can earn you points. You start spending $100 a week on fuel. That's another 5,200 points in your account, and pretty soon you've got enough points to fly to Perth from the eastern states. Just from everyday spend, you're not using a credit card yet, and you're not engaging in the higher level stuff yet. So just by scanning whenever you purchase something, that's like my absolute number one tip. You're not going to earn a lot of points, and you certainly won't be flying business class with those, but that's a really good place to start, scanning at the checkout.
and who doesn't want a free flight anyway?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, bring it on. So that's the absolute base level when you're shopping.
Yeah.
Then, as you say, your eyes are suddenly open and you start seeing all of the possibilities past that.
Yes.
How do you take it up a notch? Like, my beautiful dream is, first class to London. So
Yeah. Okay.
please get me there on
All right.
flatbed.
We'll have to take a few more steps. So the next level up, you start to want to engaging with those shopping programs a bit more. So they've all got apps. Flybys and Everyday Rewards both have apps. They often have bonuses that you can activate. Now, this is the thing a lot of people miss. You often have to activate them by going into the app and physically clicking activate to start getting these bonus point offers. They are quite often targeted as well. So if you haven't been to Coles for a while and haven't scanned your card, they'll start giving you bigger and bigger offers to kind of incentivize you to come back. So something I've seen a lot of people doing is kind of switching between the two to maximize the most incentives they can get out of both programs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like for me, I find that Woolies offers me bonus points like 80 extra points on spinach, like stuff I'm going to buy weekly anyway. Like they love giving me bonus points for tuna or ice cream. And sometimes it's not the brand I want, but it's close enough where I'll be like, yeah, I'll get an extra 100 points for buying some ice cream.
One thing that I use quite a bit, and that is related to going to airports as well, is the tie-in that the two major programs have got with the ride-sharing carriers as well, with Uber and now Didi as well.
Yes.
In that it's Uber with Qantas and Didi with Virgin.
Yeah, only to the airport with Uber, unfortunately. To and from the airport, I believe, and I cannot get mine to work, so I do not do that, unfortunately. But yes, DD is everywhere,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, which is amazing. I did notice quite a few. Actually, I was checking through my points as well, and those bonuses that you get from them, and which is pretty impressive. So let's jump into the credit cards.
Yeah.
This is where we're talking. People, can I just say, frequent flyer points is a total dark art.
Yeah.
We're going into the magician's cave at this point.
Yeah. So credit cards. So I work for Point Hacks. That's kind of how we make most of our money is credit card referrals. So people come to the website and we'll search for a credit card, and we show them the best ones that earn the most amount of frequent flyer points. And then earn a kickback when people sign up through the bank. So that's kind of that business model. There's a lot of places that do it too. Like it's become quite popular amongst the points world to monetize that way. With credit cards, they can often get you well over 100,000 points in Qantas or Velocity just for signing up. You do have to pay a fee. Some ranges from like $200 all the way up to $1,200 for one of the most like high flying ones. That's for people who earn over $200,000 a year though. So can't get that one, unfortunately. But with those, you kind of want to look at how many points you're earning from that card, 100,000 points, say, and then compare it to the fee that you're paying. So let's say $349. That you can use that to calculate how many dollars per point you're paying, and then compare that against what a business class flight would cost, and kind of see if that $349 turning into 100,000 points is worth it to you. If it's not, maybe a credit card's not great for you. But I've always found that once you know how to spend the points, it kind of becomes a no-brainer, and you start taking out as many credit cards as you want. Yeah.
And does that not affect your credit rating when you're like trying to buy a house or something?
I'm a millennial. I'm not buying a house. I'm traveling.
I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah, I've blown I've blown decades traveling, which is why, I don't know, I'm here now, right?
Yeah.
No?
It's fine. Yeah, not too worried about that. I'm sure it does, but I'm not the person to ask. Okay, about credit ratings.
So the underlying, just briefly on credit cards, the key is to find out how many points you get on signing up.
Yeah.
And then how much they earn per transaction as well.
Yeah.
And thinking which, are you going Qantas? Are you going Velocity? Are you going for Virgin? I mean, you've kind of got to pin your colours to the mast, or can you just play the field?
I kind of would recommend people do both. There's a lot of good reasons. There's the Coles and Woolies incentivizing you to come back reason. So you can collect in both if you are able to shop at both Coles and Woolies. But then with the cards, if you're starting to sign up for multiple cards at a time, different cards have they only give the points to new customers. So you will start getting to a point, if you get really into this, where you've actually been a customer of every bank, and then you have to start cycling back and waiting like 2 years, 18 months to become a new customer again. So that's kind of like the cutoff for when a new customer is after you've left.
Right.
So normally if you're just going for like maximum points and don't really worry about what program it's in, whether it's Velocity or Qantas, you're kind of just giving yourself many more options for bank programs and the best card offer at the time. Sometimes there are better offers for Velocity than Qantas and vice versa. So yeah, I would recommend going for both and just finding the card that gets you the most points for the least amount of money, no matter what.
Yeah, because I know that we've been talking only about Australian programs, but I have larger aspirations than that. But then that is when you start talking about the knock-on effect of who they're aligned with and which alliance, whether they're in Star Alliance, they're in One World,
Yes.
and how you translate your points across to that Singapore Airlines flight that you want to use, or BA to London, because excitingly, as you know, BA is coming back to Melbourne after 20 years.
Yes, yeah, and now this week, yeah.
Yeah, that was a major one. If you haven't seen it yet, British Airways is coming back into Melbourne, which is going to be so exciting. It's going to start flying from January next year. And in fact, Melbourne's getting a bit of a win as well, because they've got the first flights going out to the Maldives, going to start happening in May, and also Helsinki with Finnair. And that is brilliant too. So that just kind of opens up your world, really, doesn't it?
Yes.
So that's that's the earn in a nutshell. I mean, you've also got things like, if you're using hire cars, Airbnb has got a deal with Qantas as well. Accor as well. Accor's
yes, I love
as well.
love Accor, because you earn 3 Qantas points per dollar spent on your hotel, and you also earn Accor's own reward points as well, which you can transfer to Qantas if you really want. So you're kind of able to double dip just on regular hotel stays. Like, I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's because we're in an Accor property at the moment, which is the Novotel here at Melbourne Airport. So if we were actually staying and not just flying through and recording podcasts while we're looking at the runway, we could actually be earning points on this one. And that seems to be one of the more significant earners as well, is it?
For hotels, I would say it is. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's the best one I've found.
All right. Note to self, everybody. And I guess a big part of that is always remembering when you're checking in to present those cards as well, because you don't always get asked at every place. And then you find out that joint that you dropped a huge amount on, especially if you're doing restaurant spend and all of that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. I would highly recommend, like, for hotel loyalty programs, they're normally free to join. Just join all of them, as long as you don't worry about like all the data you're giving away. But I think we're well past that now in 2026. Just sign up for all of them, because you do earn points at most major chains. But yes, Accor is the one that earns you Qantas points. All you have to do is link it in your Accor app and you start earning straight away, which is, I love it. It's great. Yeah, right.
Okay, great. Let's go on the other side, because I reckon I'm pretty good on the earning side. I've got a credit card that I don't know. I know that I need to do a hygiene checklist and check through that credit card, because I've had it for a very long time. And I know that, if I'm buying stuff from, if I'm booking holidays through Luxury Escapes, they are tied in with Virgin and your travel insurer, as well as, 7-Eleven even electricity as well. Red Energy does Red Energy does a tie-in with Qantas, which I love because it's an Australian company and it's Australian owned and it uses renewable energy. So it came out of the Snowy River hydro scheme. So
there you go.
I know. Big plug for Red Energy there.
Yeah.
So I do love them. That was a free plug. I am in no way receiving any kickback from it.
Yeah.
Although if you want to give me free electricity, please just give me a call at the podcast. So I'm great on the earn. I reckon we've covered it off really well. Burning, this is the thing. And I'm going to put a question to you that came from Kirsty, my co-host. She was like, you know what I want to know about points? What is the point of points when you can't use them for air? And she gives the example. She's going up to Port Douglas for a winter getaway because #Melbourne winter. And she was saying she was trying to book a flight up to Cairns. Virgin was going to charge her all the points they had, which was 180,000 points, and an extra $1,000 on top of it. And she was like, that seems like a really raw deal. And instead, she bought a couple of seats with Jetstar, which I think cost $1,200 all up. So 180,000 points. What is going on there?
Yeah, that is the thing that puts people off points immediately, especially if they're new to it, because you jump on the websites and both airlines really love trying to show you ways to use points that aren't actually the most economical for you. They're trying to, take their points back at as low a cost to them as possible. So there's all these dark patterns on their websites to kind of funnel you down these things that make you spend a lot more points than you need to. There is a thing called points plus pay, which I have a feeling Kirsty has run into, where they basically funnel you to the end of the booking page, and there's like a slider where it's just like slide it all the way up, and it's like there's all my points, slide it all the way down, there's the total cash fare. That isn't how you spend points. That's how they want you to spend them, but that's not how you spend points. What you want to be looking for with both Qantas and Velocity is reward flights. These are not they're not available on every single flight, so you have to be flexible and search a bit more, but they will clearly mark them on the website that they are reward flights. And these are actually, the prices of them are all based around distance flown. So it's a set price, which you can look up on their websites, both of them, where that is what a reward flight costs. So I'm going to use one example, which I'm going to look up right now. Say we're flying to Melbourne to Sydney, very common flight. So that's zone 1, 0 to 600 miles. That will always cost 9,200 points in economy. If it costs more than that, that's not a reward flight. So you have to look for those.
Yeah, right. How rare are they? Are they like unicorn flights? You do hear people arguing about this on those forums a lot.
For domestic flights, I've found they're actually quite easy to find. They obviously become harder to find the less frequented the flight is. So Melbourne to Sydney is actually quite common because they fly every half hour on both airlines.
Yeah, one of the busiest domestic routes in the world.
Yeah. I've found them kind of hard to get on like the best times to take those flights where it's like comfortable for everyone. They're normally sold out on cash fares. But if you're flying at 7 a.m. in the morning, normally there'll be a reward flight available for you. It becomes a little bit harder when you start moving into business class because they only release like 2 to 4 seats per flight, if that, and not on every flight, only on the ones where they're like, we probably won't sell all the business class out. So I found between Perth, Melbourne and Sydney, super easy. But once you start flying internationally, that's when things get really competitive and you have to start getting really deep in the weeds on how to find this stuff. Yeah, that's when it becomes a bit more of a hobby as well.
Yeah, right. Are there any particular rules? I mean, it's harder to find in school holidays, I imagine, or they even block them out at that point.
Yeah, peak travel times, chances go down considerably. I mean, an example, like I'm going to Japan next week. What's next week? It's cherry blossom season. Like they're in full bloom. Like there were no reward flights at all. Like economy, business, nothing.
Don't tell me you paid full price.
No, this is actually getting pretty deep in the weeds, but if you're platinum with Qantas, you can call up and request them to release reward flights to you. which is an awesome perk. It's also not published on their website, but like people who are platinum know about it because everyone talks about it. So it's not like a secret. But you can call up and request, hey, I want a business class flight at the reward price. Can you release it to me? They don't always, but often if they've got a seat available that they haven't sold a fare on, they'll give it to you.
Do you have to be like a silver or like shiny platinum gold? I mean, does my skanky bronze thing no status points?
Yeah, it has to be platinum or above.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how I got those flights. But if I didn't have that, I would have been paying thousands of dollars for an economy fare with Qantas because like they jack the prices up.
Yep.
They don't have reward seats. Like there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
Do they release do they release them in advance? Like is there a season for them, or how far in advance do they release them?
Yeah, so typically I believe Qantas is 350 days in advance for their flights. And their partner airlines like those in Oneworld, like and partners like Emirates, they often release around the same kind of schedule. So if you're like super keen on flying business or first specifically, the ones that get snapped up straight away, you kind of want to be logging in 355 days in advance before your trip, which I mean, like I'm not planning that far ahead, so it becomes very difficult. If you're able to plan that far ahead, that's when you start to get a real advantage on reward flights because a year out, you're able to see them all. Like you'll see most of their releases. Now they don't always do this. Sometimes they do big batches as promotions. Sometimes they'll drop them like a couple of weeks out before the flight goes if they've got extra seats that they need to get bums on. So it's not always that rule anymore, but it's enough where you can kind of bank on being able to do that a year out and have much greater access to flights. Yeah.
Right. So I think the key thing there is the key thing on earning is do not take the points and pay option on them. Like look for the seats only.
Yeah. Classic rewards or reward seats on Velocity. Classic rewards are marked by red ribbons. That's how you know on Qantas, and with Velocity it's like a little stamp above the price.
Yeah. And that's the one you're chasing. Now we're going to do a quick hygiene checklist.
Yes.
And what should I be doing? I should actually be looking back through my credit card to see if it is the best one that I've got if I've had it for a long time.
Yes. Look at your credit card options. There's some great options right now with the banks because the RBA might be changing some surcharge rules this month. They haven't done that yet, but right now, great time to get a credit card. So highly recommend doing that. You want to be looking at bonus points and earn per dollar spent. 1 point per dollar spent is great. 2 points on Qantas spend is great as well. And Velocity has the same thing. You can get 2 points per dollar on Velocity spend. Next thing I would start looking at is every store that I go to, do they offer points? Obviously you don't go to stores that are more expensive if they offer points because you might not be getting all the value back. But if you frequent places like Bunnings, Officeworks, Coles, obviously, scan your Flybuys card, and the same with Woolies and there are other various companies like BWS and stuff. I would also recommend so if you're like one of those organized people that check their finances like every Sunday or whatever. I know some people do that.
I'm really not.
No, neither. But like add another 10 minutes and check your points hygiene because you could be, if you go to a website called freepoints.com, not affiliated with them, they do a really good job of just showing all the bonus point offers for the week. And some of those things are as simple as just signing up to a program like DD when they launched, offered like 1,000 points just for linking your account.
Yep.
So there's plenty of points that you can just get for free with like 10 minutes of work every week. So I would highly recommend doing that as well. And none of that involves having a credit card. So even if you aren't in the position to get a credit card, there's plenty of ways to get points.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to double down on this one, and I'll report back about that. Look, maybe not first class, but possibly a flat seat somewhere, anywhere. I don't care. Flat seat to Perth sounds great. So my last question to you is, tell me about your most bizarre travel experience.
Yeah. Okay. So I got asked to film a wedding in Fiji back in 2018. So like my background is videography. I shot a music video for a guy, and then his wife was like, they have to film our wedding. Me and my friend flew over to Fiji, and I heard the diving was really good there. So I'm not a strong swimmer, and I'm also terrified of drowning. So I was like, I'm gonna try and like conquer this fear. I'm gonna go and train up diving in Sydney when I was living there. So I was going to Botany Bay every morning to like do the training over a week. Got to Fiji and was like, I'm gonna do a shark dive as my first dive. So
What could possibly go wrong?
yeah, like cross off all the fears straight away, and then everything else will be smooth sailing. When you first get your diving license, do you have your diving license?
No, I've dived, but I don't have a license.
Okay.
Yep.
When you first get it, you get open water, which is 18 meters.
Yep.
So you're not really meant to go below 18 meters under sea level. And when I signed up for the shark thing, it was like, oh, beginner's welcome, totally fine. I get there and they're like, we're going 42 meters underwater. And I was like, are you sure you want to bring me? Because this is my first dive outside of training. And they're like, oh yeah, no worries, bro. It's fine. Come on. So we go underwater, go into this place where there's hundreds of sharks. It was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But just like hundreds of sharks swimming around. And the number one rule was like, don't touch them, which makes sense.
Yep.
But like I'm down there and I just had a moment of like, I just kind of properly, and I just like reached my hand out to like touch one.
Oh.
And the guys who were running the dive were all like lined up behind us while we were lying on these rocks. So as I reach out to touch one, this guy smacks me in the back of the head with a spear to be like, don't do that. But he kind of like overshot how much force he needed to put into it, and he smacked me in the back of the head so hard that my vision went blurry. Fairly sure I got a concussion. So I just started like freaking out because I'm like surrounded by sharks, got smacked in the back of the head, can't see it. Water's starting to fill up into my into my goggles and the mask and everything. And then my suit started to inflate. And I just had completely forgotten how to dive after being smacked in the back of the head.
Yeah.
So I went from 42 meters and just my thing filled with air, and I just shot up to the surface, which I'm sure most people know you shouldn't do. You need to have stops to acclimatize. I get up, still can't really see anything. Water in my eyes. Look around, can't find the boat. Guy like grabs me, drags me by the leg, pulls me back down to 20 meters, and I just like couldn't work out what the hell was going on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they brought me back up onto the boat, and I felt terrible, very dizzy because I just shot up so many meters. And then they're like, all right, let's go to the next one. And I did it, but I haven't dived since. I want to try again, but man, that was a real trial by fire as your first dive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That is incredible. I'm so pleased that you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah. Still terrified of drowning. I got a great photo of a shark though while I was down there. So I'm very happy.
Because I mean, like that's the most important thing, because if there was no photo, then it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can't remember it very well.
I love it. That is possibly one of the most bizarre of the bizarre.
Oh, great.
Yeah, there you are.
Nice.
You get a gold pass.
Yeah.
Toby, thanks so much for joining us on The World Awaits. I've absolutely loved being here in the Novotel at Melbourne Airport, checking out the planes as they're taking off. And now we're going to go and walk out onto the tarmac with them. So thanks again for hacking the earn, the burn, the bold and the beautiful with points.
Yeah, no worries. And if anyone wants to learn more about points, I run the Point Hacks podcast. I produce that and I'm the host of it. So I ask my colleagues questions because they're much better at answering this stuff than I am. So we go through basically everything you need to know about points in absolute detail. So if you want to learn more, definitely check us out on YouTube or any of your favorite podcasting platforms.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
That was Toby Venus chatting to Belle about how to demystify frequent flyer points, and you can find him at pointhacks.com.au. If you'd like to help support our production costs, you can buy us a coffee at coffee.com/theworldawaits. That's ko-fi.com/theworldawaits, so we can continue to bring you inspirational travel interviews with the world's best.
Our second interview is with Silva McLeod, the first Tongan woman to become an airline pilot. She wrote about her incredible journey in her book Island Girl to Airline Pilot. Silva always dreamed of becoming a pilot, but never imagined it would come true until she met Ken, who she eventually married. But it wasn't until a near-death experience that she pursued her lifelong passion. Take a listen.
Welcome to the show, Silva.
Thank you for having me, Kirsty.
It's so great to have you on The World Awaits. Let's start by tell us a bit about your years growing up and where you actually lived and grew up and what made you want to be a pilot.
I was born and grew up in a tiny little village in the Vava'u group in Tonga. So Tonga is divided into three main groups. So Vava'u is the most northern. So technically we are closer to Samoa. And that's where I grew up and all the way through school. All the way through until I finally migrate to Australia. But how and why did I want to be a pilot? I have to be honest, pilot was never enter my peripheral as a job, as a career. I always wanted to be a doctor. I guess being in a village, 200 people, I see some really horrid stuff in health-wise. So maybe it's a girl's thing wanting to nurture, and I wanted to be a doctor. But for flying, it was a fantasy. And I say that in its truest means. I used to run outside when I hear an aeroplane, and I'll be standing there and watch till the end until it disappeared out of sight. And I was mesmerized. In my head, I kept thinking, how clever are white people that they can fly from one place to another and sustain that aircraft at an altitude. It just got me. I was thinking then, wouldn't that be lovely to be able to operate such machine? But I knew that that was a fantasy because it would never happen. It would never happen in my life growing up as an island girl. So, the tiny island, you turn left, you hit the water, and you turn right, you hit the water. And there's no world beyond the horizon, technically.
So what did make you move to Australia? Was it when you met your soon-to-be husband, Ken?
I know that the phrase of love is blind is thrown around so much out there, but it was with me. I didn't even see how I will leave my family. I didn't see what it would be like to leave my little village, the familiarity, my people, my family and food, when I fell in love. So that's what took me out. Don't they say love will take you to either hell or heaven?
So
I think it was heaven for me.
So was he visiting, and was he Australian?
Ken is an Australian. And as I mentioned before, coming from the island, it is so tiny. It was very poverty-stricken in a way. And we rely a lot from foreign aids. So thank goodness Australia and New Zealand are the biggest contributors to our island. So Australia built a hospital for my island, and they sent three tradies, a builder who was the project manager, an electrician who is my Ken, and then a plumber. And then they employed the local to do the support and help. So Ken was contracted there for 2 years. So when he finished the hospital, it was a multi-million-dollar project. Australia then funded a fuel depot in my island as well, so Ken continue on for the 2 years. And, I often say to him, he came to Tonga to work and he brought home a souvenir. He used to hate that when I say he brought home a souvenir. And I said, well, it was a very expensive one at the end because I decided to learn to fly, right?
So how did you meet?
I was working in the pub. I finished high school. There's no university in Tonga. An opportunity to go to uni, you will have to be somebody. And I was a nobody. So high school, that was it. Year 12, HSC certificate, and that was it. So I got a job at the only hotel in Tonga, or in my island, in Vavau. But it happened to be operated and owned by Australian company, Hamilton. So the bosses there is Mr. and Mrs. Jupp. And I thought, oh, this would be a good thing for me. I get to practice my English, which was so awful and terrible. I mean, it's still a work in progress, but I decided to do a knock. So I worked there as a waiter for about a couple of weeks. And then I see it as I have a upgrade to a barmaid. And Ken and the boys from Australia come to the hotel religiously at 5 p.m. every day for their 3 beers, and then they go home. So that's how we met.
Oh, how
So-
lovely. And so what was there was a pivotal moment, wasn't there, in your lives that made you that changed your view on life and made you pursue this pilot dream or fantasy, as you say at the time. What was that?
Well, when Ken and I got married, but prior to that, we were still in the dating scene. And I sort of confessed to Ken that I have that fantasy of flying an aeroplane, but I really wanted to be a doctor. And he said, oh, well, there's no time frame. There's no time limit for that. Of course you can do that. But I thought, oh, yeah, he's trying to hook me over, right? Telling me all these things that a young girl loved to hear. And yeah. So we got married. We came here. Of course, all that talk was just swept under the carpet as kids arrive and mortgage arrive and bills to pay. And you continue on with living rather than chasing a dream or, so it was just like a pipe dream. It was something at the time. But I never stopped. I used to, try to get Ken and the kids, and Sundays we will pack a picnic lunch and then we will go to the airport at Moorabbin. We'll sit under the flight path and have our picnic sandwiches and watch the plane come and go. And that was enough for me at the time because I was busy having kids and never really thought I could do it. It, as I said, was a fantasy, but never in a million years thought that I could do it. So 9 years later, close to 10 years, lo and behold, Ken was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer at the time. And from his deathbed, he actually said, do you still want to fly? I guess when you're facing mortality, lots of little things come to mind. What have I done in my life and all that? And he said, go for it. Life is too short. Look at me now. And I thought, yeah, he's full of chemo and drugs and what have you. It's running stupid in his head. And then he came out. Of course, we're busy trying to get Ken recover. So 12 months later, he was through his chemo and stuff. It was my following birthday. He gave me a $20 gift voucher for an introductory flight. And I know he remembered what he said from his bed at Pitamac. And it was only $20. And I often joke about, I knew I was cheap, but I didn't think I was quite that cheap for my birthday for $20. But I think he'd been paying that birthday presents ever since. So he said to me, just go and have a try. You may hate it, but at least you satisfy yourself that, you gotta go. So long story short, history speaks for itself. I went for that introductory flight and I never looked back. I came out because Ken took me to the driving school, to the flying school. I went in, had my little flight. I came back, went inside again for a debrief. And that's when I came out, armed myself with headsets, books, everything. And then I never looked back from that day onwards.
Amazing. So what was your first flight like, and how did that feel for you? And was Ken there watching you?
Yes, Ken was parked at the parking and just watching me going up and back. And I used to see it when I came. Ken said, my face looked like I was smiling like a split watermelon. I was really hooked and obviously enjoyed the experience. So the actual first flight is probably not as memorable because your little 20 minutes go so fast. It's just when you're working up what kind of emotion you're having, sitting there, flying. Of course, the instructor give you the control. You have a little turn here and there, but there is an apprehension of not knowing, that feeling of flightless. It's just, it was just not as exciting to me as I did when I went on first solo by myself, controlling an aircraft with no one there to tell me, what to do. That's probably the most memorable thing that I would say. It's that first solo, and every pilot will tell you the same. Because it comes unexpected when the instructor says, say, okay, that's it, we're pulling up here. And then the props are still going, the engine's still running, and he opened the door and pull out his headset, and then he goes, go for one circuit. I'm out of here. You cannot protest because it was gone. It left you in charge of the aircraft still running, and you are just on the taxiway. So, you got to go up and back. So that's an amazing feeling.
Oh, I'm sure it was. So what are some of your most memorable moments over your career? So, and you went on to work in flying internationally as well?
Yes, a series of events. Like when I finished, I was a charter pilot. I was a flight instructor. And then I got my first commercial gig back in Tonga. So I was flying for the local airline. 5 years of living separately from Ken and the girls. By that stage, year 11, year 12, that's probably the hardest, most challenging thing that I have ever done. Will I do it again? I don't know. I probably would say yes, but it will be a different circumstances. So I would never know whether I would do it again because of what I know now. The girls, even though they were quite old, they were saying, yes, Mom, this is your dream. You've been working hard. You're chasing this. We'll be fine. We'll keep Dad on the straight line. And I thought, yeah, of course I was already on a high and I was going to chase my dream. And this is only a stepping stone. And then I went, but years and years later, the girls were saying, we hated it when you went to Tonga. Because of what I know.
And did you have some amazing moments where people who you knew who grew up, who had seen you as a child and were on those flights? Were people?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. I even carry some of the royal family to and from in the island hopping. Even my family, I was lucky enough, my grandma who reared me still alive, and I managed to take her back and forth from the main island because when I was flying in Tonga, my base is in the main island. So I had to bring my grandma out from our little island occasionally for a little holiday and pampering with me. And but I think, and then I moved out from there and I went and flew in Sydney for Aeropelican. And then I came from there, and the most memorable will have to be my time with Royal Flying Doctor, the RFDS. There is just nothing will measure up to that. And of course, I went on chasing the shiny piece of metal with Flying Jet, and I flew the 737 all around here locally in Australia, and I've been I'm proud to say that I feel like I have circumnavigated Australia in its entirety, more so than Australian-born people, and that job enabled me to do that, as well as going on to the Trans-Pacific, should I say, is the actual word we're using. And then I was based in New Zealand for 12 months. So I did fly domestically, but I meant domestic is like Christchurch, Dunedin, Auckland, and Wellington, and that's it. And but then it allowed me to fly into Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, Vanuatu, all of the Pacific, Cook Island. And then, of course, 2008, we came back, and then I had an opportunity to jump ship to the 777, which is the long-haul international. And I thought, oh, wow, I have a love affair with the 777, because when I was learning to fly, I was following what Boeing is bringing out. And Boeing just came out with a new fly-by-wire aircraft, and it is the 777. And then they brought that aircraft to Darwin in 1995 for the hot climate testing. I wanted to go there, but my husband said, no, enough is enough. It's costing too much money. So I didn't go because I was still learning to fly at the time. But I had a picture of a cockpit of a 777. I had it remade, and I blew it up, and then it was hanging in my study from day one. I didn't even have a license at the time, but I was mesmerized by this aircraft and the buttons and the shiny things and lights and so many buttons and switches. And I used to joke every time I walk past, I look at it when I'm studying, and I go, I'm going to fly you one day. It was just that nonsense talk. I'm going to fly you one day, when you know very well it's not going to happen. And yet you continue to have this little, dream. And I could not believe it. Years later, I was actually sitting in the cockpit of a 777. And I come back to my wall and I said, I told you I'm going to fly you one day. That was the most bizarre dream. Dream to fly, yes, and then it's reachable. But at my age at the time, because I had kids, I was already 30. And in the industry, they say Qantas and big airlines would like to mold you to what they want. So they want you young, straight after school. So by 26, you'll be already sitting in a cockpit of a jetliner. And here I am, 30, just starting to hop in a little two-seater Cessna. So to even dream that I could fly the 777, I never think of the 747. I never thought of the Airbus. That was the picture that was hanging on my wall. And so that was another bizarre moment of my
Amazing, remarkable. Well, we're going to touch on a couple of things, that theories and myths about flying that people love to know. So there's some strange things people ask. And the first one I'm going to ask you is about the water. So everyone says don't drink the water on a plane. True or false?
I mean, what they say, if you're thirsty enough, you're going to drink it. There's nothing wrong with the water. There is nothing wrong with the water. However, just to keep everyone's happy, the water that it's actually come out on water station throughout the 777 on bigger aircraft like that, they are actual proper water. They are filtered water and all. When you think about it, you can take your toothbrush and you brush your teeth with the normal tap water in the toilet. You swallow some of that and you still survive to tell the story. So to have it, to drink it, yes, it's okay. However, we do carry with us bottled water or the one in the water stations, they are filtered big bottle of water.
And is the turbulence really like hitting a pothole, or is it actually is the turbulence something that you should be worried about, or is it just like a pothole in the road?
Pothole on the road, majority of the time you see the potholes, and then you either veer the car to avoid it or go. Majority of turbulence in aircraft you can't see. So all of a sudden you hit it. What we call a clear air turbulence, that is something is unavoidable. There is no radar in this current stage that will tell you there is. However, we have access to weather forecast. It's part of our job. We learn and train for it. We can tell looking at a weather map which part of that weather map you most likely endure some turbulence, and you will avoid that. With the clear air turbulence, it's all a very high altitude one. And when we get the weather forecast as well for us to decipher which route shall we take, it's actually give you a forecast. It's only a forecast. It doesn't actually say there is a section based on the wind and the motion, the air motion. There are sections they might say this could cause some clear air turbulence. So you can't see it, but enter it. But it's absolutely nothing to worry about. It's just one of those things that you just have a little bumps, but we often, or you may have, as as a passenger, you might hear the captain might say, the rides is going to be a little bit bumpy at times. That's just based on what the forecast we can see. And even if the weather and stuff, sometimes we are sacrificing the cost of the flight with fuel by giving our passengers a smoother ride. So we might go an extra miles just to divert around weather related turbulence. Or even sometimes as you get higher and higher, you might decide, I'm going to sit at that altitude because that's the altitude is ensuring the clients, the customers, the passengers ensured a smooth ride. But it's all myth.
And what about, where do pilots sleep? And do you leave do you have to sometimes leave the cockpit on
I can only
settings or?
Yeah. I can only speak from the aircraft I fly. The 737, that's only a 2 crew. One must always be in the flight deck. The other can step out to the toilet, but there is no break or rest for the 737 crew. The 777, there's 4 of us. We always pair up. So all 4 departure, takeoff, and landing, an hour before landing. And in between in cruise, we divide up 2. 2 will stay at the flight deck and 2 will go and have a rest. And yes, we do have a crew rest in the 777. We're very lucky. For us pilots, we have 2 bunks. You step up just behind the bulkhead of the cockpit, and then you climb up, and you have 2 recliners, 2 seats for each pilot that are out there. And then behind it, there is 2 bunks where you can go. It's no king-size bed by any means, but it's all climate control, very comfortable. We have our meal there. We watch a movie, and then we go to sleep. And then we have our, say, 4 hours or whatever it might be. That's usually our sleep rest. We have about an hour and a half to 2 hours of short rest. That's like a meal break. And then we come back, and then we have a sleep rest. It's up to 4 hours, and then we are back again and swap over. So for the flight attendants, they are at the back, and there's something like 8 bunks, so they can only do 8 at a time.
Fascinating. That's so interesting. So, What's your final message, your message to others who want to pursue their dreams like you have, but feel that, they're maybe hindered by age?
I feel their anxiousness, but there is no size fits all. For me, I knew that challenges was so huge, and I can only share mine. And if that inspires others to follow that, I hope that I am like the living proof of showing. And not only I was old, I was a female, I was Black, I was a mother, so there's always a demand of kids there. And I never see those, but I took one step at a time. I never saw myself, yes, I'm going to thrive over to fly a 777. No, that picture on the wall was the motivation for me to take that one step at a time. But I never lost hope. And I think you've got to do it for the right reason. I think that is more lasting effect. If you're going to do it, say, for money or for fame, that's all the wrong reason. For me, it was a pure love. And I always thought, if it doesn't work out, well, Ken was my cash cow. He can still feed me. I can still come home and bludge on him. So it was never about money, never about history, never about fame. And I think that's why I became successful with it, because that fire never die, never dull. I just wanted it so badly, which is good or bad. It's good for the driving force for a career, but bad in a way, as my daughters told me afterwards. They hated it when I went to Tonga.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to finish this conversation because I think we could go for an hour at least. But unfortunately we are running out of time. So I'm going to ask you the question we ask all of our guests, which is, what's the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to you on your travels?
Is that bizarre good or bizarre bad?
Either.
Bizarre good, when I was with RFDS and I was called to remote Victoria to pick up a premature baby. But when we got there were two twins. And they were so tiny, no kidding, it was just like the palm of my hand. But they were whole. And I really wanted to have a pet. And the Micah gave me a gloves and said, go on, before I change my mind, have your fix. And it was in a humidity grip, because in the RFDS aircraft, we have 240 volts. So all these humidity grip get plugged into the aircraft and the kids survive. So you open the little hole, in a humidity grip, and then I reached down to touch the little arm. It will stay with me for the rest of my living life, because when I touch it, I said, how lucky are you that here we are in the middle of the night. It was cold. There were doctors, there were micers, there were nurses, there was me as pilot, and we're out to rescue these babies. And my mind was turned straight away to my village, to my Tonga. They will just die because there is nothing we can do. I think one of those most bizarre things that even years and years later, I tell the story, I could see myself in that outside of the aircraft. In the dark, it's cold. And those thoughts came to mind that babies premature in my village will just die. And it still get me, even now.
gosh. Oh my gosh. You have such a remarkable story. You really do. You're going to bring me to tears in a minute. And you already did bring tears to my eyes when you were telling me about Ken on his deathbed, you called it. When telling you to follow that dream. Oh my gosh, what an absolute remarkable story, and I'm so glad that you've written your book so people can spend the time to really soak it up and read more about it. And we'll put all the links in the show notes of how to buy your book so that people can actually hear more about your remarkable story. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
But I always say, my book came out and lots of people think that it was all about my career, all about my flying, all about my achievements. But I wanted to make it known that without Ken and the 110% support behind me, I wouldn't have a story to tell. So let's not forget that one. Oh, very lucky. Super, super lucky.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being with us. It's just been the most wonderful chat. And I hope to bring you back on another time.
That was Silva McLeod, and you can buy her book at Exile Publishing, and we'll put a link to the show notes and on our website too. Next week, it's all about adventure. From environmental scientist, author, filmmaker, philanthropist, speaker, adventurer and Australian of the Year, Tim Jarvis AM, and Deanne Whelan, who set out to walk and kayak the longest trail in the world, the 24,000-kilometre long Trans-Canada Trail.
And if you're enjoying our episode, please follow us on socials. We're on Instagram and Facebook as The World Awaits Podcast. And please leave a rating and review to help us in the rankings. On Apple Podcasts, click on our profile, scroll to the bottom to leave a star rating. And if you're on Spotify, go to our main page and click the 3 dots under our photo. Thanks for joining us on the World Awaits Winter Series. See you next time.
That's a wrap for The World Awaits this week. Click to subscribe anywhere you listen to your favourite pods.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.